It is hard to find a bigger fan of you than Mom. Through all the teenage mischief and the tough first steps of adulthood, she's been there supporting you every step of the way. This Mother's Day, show her just how much you appreciate all of her dedication with 1-800-Flowers.com. Right now, when you get ahead of the Mother's Day rush, 1-800-Flowers is giving you an exclusive 24 for 24 offer. 24 multicolored roses for $24. That's only $1 per rose. With a bright and beautiful mix of premium roses in a rainbow of colors, these blooms are guaranteed to show Mom just how much she's loved. Multicolored roses are the perfect way to surprise all of the moms in your life: wife, aunt, sister, grandma. Roses from 1-800-Flowers are picked at their peak from premier farms and shipped overnight to ensure freshness. 24 multicolored roses for only $24. That's an amazing offer. But you got to hurry because it expires Thursday. Just pick your delivery date and 1-800-Flowers will handle the rest. Don't put this off. Order today from 1-800-Flowers.com. It's what Mom would want you to do. To order 24 stunning multicolored roses for only $24, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/Wingo. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/Wingo.
The big race in Indianapolis is center stage every May, but you don't have to be a racing enthusiast to focus on your engine. With Pennzoil Synthetics, you'll get complete protection for top engine performance. Pennzoil puts your vehicle center stage no matter what month it is. Pennzoil, make the switch.
Golic and Wingo with you on ESPN Radio and ESPN News, presented by Progressive Insurance. Our phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Mike Golic Jr., Trey Wingo here. You know, we were told it was different.
Yes.
We're told it's going to be different.
It's a different team this year.
New year.
This year they're ready to go.
New season.
New Raptors.
We the North.
Yeah.
Oh, when's that man in? Can't wait to bash him in.
Yeah. By the way, you know, it was different in the way they blew it.
Yeah.
I guess that's the way to describe it. I mean, it's unbelievable. So glad you're with us. We got a lot coming up today because, you know, we don't have enough Notre Dame talk. Mike McGlinchey, the 9th overall pick of the draft of the San Francisco 49ers.
Wait a minute. We have 3 players in the draft today, and all of a sudden you're going to rail on Notre Dame?
Yeah, pretty much.
Listen,
right.
It's not our fault we had 2 top 10 picks, all right? It's not our fault our guys are really good.
Hey, did you guys go to Notre Dame?
We did. Let's put on the Baylor.
Not existent. There we go. But when that happens, he'll be here. Jeff Saturday will join us at 7:30. We're going to play Bretmology.
Yes, we are.
Later on this morning, which we're very much excited about. Brett, the researcher. Brett, how would you describe this crop of phrases?
I would say they're the best yet.
Best yet? All right.
But I'm going to say that every time.
Okay,
I was going to say you are going to say that every time.
By the way, Stanzik, do we have a running total on Bretmology? I think
we
our
have official standings. Yes,
I think Golic and I are tied, right?
Devin keeps the official standings. You're 8 for 16. Golic is 7 for 16.
Yeah.
Mike Golic Jr. in his one appearance 2 for 4.
2 for 4. All
okay.
Right. So we're both batting 500. You're just below.
I'm just below.
Not too shabby. So we'll have that for you. Jeff Saturday, our fine, well-groomed NFL analyst, will join us. And our guy. We're going to get our guy. Austin Prohl.
Again, he was the second to last pick. He was not Mr. Irrelevant, but we don't think Mr. Irrelevant is irrelevant because he gets a parade.
Yeah.
Can we call Austin Prohl? Can we name it Mr. Penultimate?
Yes, let's do that.
Can we do that?
Mr. Penny?
Mr. Penny.
I love the fact that you think, when I said penultimate a couple of times, you're like, what is that stupid word?
Yeah, I hate it.
Now you're all in on it.
I hate it, but it fits here.
There you go. Exactly. I hate it until I don't.
Trey, I'll give you a reason why you should love the term penultimate.
Yeah.
Allie and I tried to rebrand Thursday as Penny Day, Penultimate Day.
Yeah.
And the one person in the world it bothered more than anyone else, Stanzik.
Oh,
really?
Good. So let's do it then.
I'm all in.
Yeah.
I'm all in.
See, I knew that would change your tune.
Wednesday is Let's Make Stanzik Angry Day. Because every day is Let's Make Stanzik Angry Day. He's the most unhappy fella.
You're doing a hell of a job.
We'll also have Mike McCagnon, the Jets GM, will join us. And the player that a team traded a number 1 pick for in the draft, and it wasn't a quarterback, Marcus Davenport, the defensive end out of UTSA, now with the Saints. First-round pick was traded for him.
Way up.
So, I mean, expectations
are there.
come with that.
We're also having a guy that's going to eat poop on.
Eat poop. I mean, come on. Seriously. You knew it was going to end up on this show. You're eating poop, you're going to be on our show.
Yes, that's the underlying motto, Golic and Wingo. If you eat poop, you're on the show.
That's exactly right.
I think that's our ride or die line right there.
Without a doubt.
You eat poop, you're on our show.
Hey, do you want to come on our show? If you're going to eat poop, or have you eaten poop? No?
How do you think we got Brett on here?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Hey, whoa, well, it's wedding season. All right, here we go.
It's time for Off the Top.
Whether you like it or not,
It's just beginning.
With Golic and Wingo.
Oh, fun times in Cleveland again, because the Cavs became the second team in the last 20 postseasons to win a playoff game in which they never led in regulation. They outlast the Raptors 113-112 in overtime, even though LeBron was off.
LeBron played almost 47 minutes in this game. With 3 minutes to go in the first quarter, they already sat him down, which was kind of an odd thing. And here we go. I'm telling you, the mental part of this game, I'll keep going back to it. All I can do is my personal experience playing in Philly. We had the Giants number for a while, and the Redskins had our number. And it's just in your head. Even if we got a lead on, or the Giants got a lead on us, I know that I talked to the guys after we were done playing. They'd be like, we were waiting for the shoe to drop, waiting for something to happen. And we were like that against Washington. We'd get the lead on them, or if we had it, we'd be like, okay, what's going to happen? What is going to happen that we're going to fall apart here? Toronto, I'm not kidding you. They are all seeing their therapist today because they can't get over this hump. We'll break down the game and the shots, and LeBron was bad in the fourth quarter and overtime, and they can't get the ball in the hands of their shooters. Toronto can't at the end of a game and go through. There's a lot to go through. I get it. But the bottom line is they have a bugaboo in their head about the Cavaliers. They can't get over it. And this series is 1-zip Cavs. It's over. This series is over.
You're telling me.
I'm telling you
that it's over.
Over.
All right.
You're telling me.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Over. Or it's not.
Or.
No, it's over.
Or it's over. It's over. You can stick a fork in. You, I think, hit on the point that I got stuck the most on, which is that in the final moments of regulation and overtime, who was taking the shot? Because to me, that indicates a level
Fred VanVleet.
Yeah, I mean, if Fred VanVleet, no disrespect to him,
right.
he's a very productive
guy. He's a fine player.
The Rigby moment. But that's not the guy that in a Toronto backcourt that's got two All-Stars could or should be taking the shot in those moments. And that, to me, indicates a level of puckering that goes on in that time period.
So there's either the side of, do you give Cleveland the credit for getting the ball out of DeRozan's hands and making the ball go somewhere else, or criticize Toronto for not saying, we can't let them do that. We have to find a way to have our guy get the shot.
Oh, that's the criticism. Because listen, if it's on the other side and all of a sudden it's LeBron James, for years we spent time chastising him for passing the ball in those moments. And that's when it was more clearly defined plays. In here, you've got DeMar DeRozan dribbling into coverage after getting locked down by Tristan Thompson on the switch.
LeBron did not score in overtime, and they still won.
Yeah.
That tells you what a gack job this was by the Raptors. They missed their last 11 shots in regulation. I mean, this was, what did we say all day yesterday? If not tonight, when?
Yeah.
When are they ever going to beat the Cavs? I believe it's 8 straight postseason losses in a row.
Seven
straight.
Yeah.
7 straight postseason losses by the Raptors to the Cleveland Cavs. I mean, you're right. They're in couples therapy, and they're the one that we can't shake it.
Mm-hmm.
We have no idea how to get around this team.
Although, it makes sense. We can mock them for getting Fred VanVleet into the final shot, but what's the alternative? Do you really want DeMar to regular season taking that?
Oh,
there it is.
Just saying.
All coming out.
Somewhere Adnan is curled up in the fetal position saying this can't be happening again.
We the North.
It is. It's happening.
We the North.
And Drake is angry.
Off the top.
All right, meanwhile, the Warriors beat the Pelicans 121-116, take a 2-0 series lead. Steph Curry, in a fabulous 6-man appearance off the bench, 28 points in 27 minutes off the bench.
I think that's, obviously what has to happen going forward. Steph has to come off the bench. He has to be your top reserve. Right?
Embrace it.
I mean, listen, what I gave you the stats yesterday, what this guy does a game after coming back from time off, whether it's an ankle, he's come back from an MCL before, he drops a ton of points. He did it here. He was plus 26 in his 27 minutes, a little over 27 minutes of action. I'll tell you what, New Orleans hung with him. The Golden State would make a run, and New Orleans hung with them. They would come back. They never let this one get away. I give them a lot of credit. Golden State's a better team, but New Orleans, without Boogie Cousins, there's this talk, are they better without him? They better with him. They're going to be good next year if they're all together again.
Yes.
How will they be?
They'll be good.
But I give them a lot of credit, but they're not looking for the respect card like maybe, the Pacers were, saying you better respect us now. You're still sitting at home. New Orleans wants to win, and they hung in this game pretty well. Draymond Green, a triple-double in the first game, a 1 rebound short of a triple-double here. He's been fantastic, but Steph is back, and if Steph is back and not kicking off any rust, I just don't see this team losing.
No, it's hard to see anything but the Rockets and Warriors coming out of the West now. But I look at the two games that we saw last night. The Toronto Raptors, who we expected more out of, are going up against a worse team. But the Pelicans have looked better against a better team.
Yep.
If you're looking at these two series now, the Pels are in a 2-0 hole. The Raptors are down 1-0. Which of those teams do you think wins more games overall in their series, the Pelicans or the Raptors?
Well, I think the Pelicans actually will play pretty well against Golden State at home.
But do you think they'll win more games than the Raptors?
I mean, no. I think I'd have to go with the Raptors. But then again, that was such a gack job by the Raptors. Really, I can't say, it's definitely got to be the Raptors.
It really was, because now, I mean, Golden State's back to full strength.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. But New Orleans did play them well. That's a great question.
They go back home now. New Orleans goes back home looking great in Game 2. Game 1, got blown out a little bit. That was a little bit of a different story.
I may still say Toronto, because I think some of those Cavs players that hit well last night, we know they'll be cold shooting again at some point.
I know we hit the buzzer, but real quickly, that plus 26 you talked about. Remember that clip with Steve Kerr they just showed one night when Steph was off? He goes, "Let me show you. See the minutes?
Oh, right.
See what you're giving us? Even when you're on the floor, even if you're not hitting your shots, you're winning for us because of all the things that you do. It makes everybody draw their attention to you." So Steph Curry doing Steph Curry things. All right, we continue.
Off the top.
Well, Houston starter Justin Verlander in baseball did Justin Verlander things. He struck out 14 batters in 8 scoreless innings.
Holy smokes, what a great win for them.
And then he didn't pitch the 9th inning, and this happened.
High fly ball, deep center. Going back Springer. Still back. See ya. A 3-run home run for Sanchez. And the Yankees take a 3-0 lead.
That Michael K. on the Yes Network is Gary Sanchez hit a 3-run homer off Ken Giles in the 9th inning en route to the 4-0 win. It hurt Houston so much that Ken Giles, the pitcher, punched himself in the face as he was going into the dugout.
He really did.
In the face!
He hit himself in the shoulder with his mitt, and then he literally punched himself in the face going to the dugout. I wondered here, we have been talking about Sanchez lately, have we not? About some big hits, 3 home runs in the last 6 days, and big home runs. 2nd and 3rd in the 9th inning, and 1 out. You think about walking him? You think about loading the bases up? You getting the chance to force a double play? Is that a thought process there at all? But no, you give up the home run. I'm just asking. I don't know. But, he makes him pay for it. 3-run shot, that's the ball game after Verlander's got to be going, seriously, guys, what do I need to do here? What's going on? And Sanchez had to deal with before the game the fact that one of the guys he catches for, in Sonny Gray, basically said, I'm more comfortable with a backup catcher.
Yeah.
So he's dealing with that. But his stick has been huge these last few games.
And they've needed it because Stanton is still bad. 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts again last night. At what point do we really sound the alarm for him? I understand we talked the other day about needing large sample sizes in baseball.
We're getting there.
Because when you look at this team, what do we think their ceiling is? We obviously thought it was pretty high before the season. How high can it be if he keeps hitting like this?
The ceiling is the roof.
There you go
about that.
Mm-hmm.
But no, 46 strikeouts, second most in Major League Baseball. Look, I have to believe eventually he'll cut that down, but the strikeouts are going to always be part of his game.
Yeah, they are.
That's just
strikeouts are part of baseball now.
He just needs to hit the other things as a little more, and we hit the buzzer.
I love the fact we're going to the buzzer sound. We got a lot to say.
What's important?
Yeah.
This is important stuff.
Off the top.
Speaking of important,
that time.
Is it possible? Mm-hmm. Is it possible that this is the year that Alex Ovechkin and the Caps finally make it? Whoa! To the conference finals, because they're now up 2-1 in their series on the Pens. Alex Ovechkin scored with just over a minute remaining in the third, and they have the series lead over Pittsburgh for the first time since they won Game 1 of the 2016 Eastern Conference Final. They have, of course, lost that series.
Yeah, Nicholas Backstrom and Ovechkin had the 2-on-1 taking it down the ice. Great late pass by Backstrom to Ovechkin right in front of the net. Gets the game winner, as you said, with a minute to go. More controversy. Well, what will get involved in this with Tom Wilson from the Caps? He had Zach Aston Reese with a shoulder to the jaw. Now, our own Barry Melrose didn't think it was a high hit. He did lead with a shoulder, but he lifted right as he hit. Reese right at the end saw the hit coming, but Wilson lifted on it, caught him in the jaw, broke his jaw, and gave him a concussion. He's going to need surgery. He's going to be out for a little while. In the NFL, there'd have been a fine and a suspension. We don't know what's going to happen here. Wilson in game 2, had a high hit and knocked a player out of the game as well. So, he's getting his money's worth. There's no doubt about that. As Washington, in the bigger story, does take this 2-1 series lead.
In the NFL, we'd be talking about the grim future of the game off that.
Exactly right.
Let alone just the immediate ramifications. So
there has to be some sort of penalty for that hit. I'm sorry. He leapt off his skates and hit him in the shoulder,
caught him in the jaw.
To his face.
That's the big point of contention is why would you need to jump in a situation like that?
He just lifted right at the end of if he didn't, obviously there's no question, but right as he's going to hit, he lifts up and comes off his skates and does catch Reese right in the jaw.
Yeah,
man.
It's one of those things that, like, understanding the mechanics of a hit like that, like when you're going in for a hit, you tend to rise. You always hear the phrase, extend your hips. So more bad blood in that series that's actually turning out pretty good for the Caps.
As we disagree and discard the buzzer completely.
Yeah, we do.
How much do you think, even though the Caps are in this series up 2-1, they're thinking, we may find
I'm talking about the Raptors.
Much like the Raptors.
That's exactly right.
Are they just waiting for the other skate to unlace, for lack of a better term?
And a quick note, Jets beat the Predators. Our boy Jason Fitz has to be not too happy this morning. It's a 4-4 game, and then Jets scored 3 times in the final 5 minutes to get that win. So Jets go up, what are they, up 2-1 in that series.
Yeah. All right, so that was, as we like to say,
as they say in hockey, let's do that hockey.
But we're back now to the NBA, and I just... If you're Cleveland, you have to sort of be laughing at this point. I mean, what else could be better? Okay, LeBron admits he's completely burnt. The Raptors are rested and ready. LeBron doesn't score in overtime. In fact, he's 3 of 15?
3 of 15 in fourth quarter and overtime, doesn't score in overtime.
3 of 15, fourth quarter and doesn't score. And somehow they eke out a 1-point win. I mean, if you're the Cavs, you're like, hey, man, we got these guys. Here was LeBron, by the way, after the game.
We knew we were going to get their best shot today. They knew we didn't have much rest. They knew we didn't have much preparation. They kind of been waiting around for us. And, we just wanted to come in with the best game plan that we could in a short time, execute offensively. Shots weren't going in. Like I said, for me personally, I was, at probably one of my worst games of the season.
So there were a couple of moments in this game, and kind of what I thought the way it would go, depending on where the lead went. So you had a double-digit lead for a bit, did Toronto in the second quarter. So do they extend it, or does it go down before halftime? Of course it goes down. It's a three-point game at halftime. In the third quarter, they get up 13. So again, here you go. Okay, and here's the moment. You go up 18, maybe you get up 20, up 17, something like that. You kind of get the Cavs to go, okay, that's game 1. So where does that go? Going into the fourth quarter, Cavs are only down 5. So they find themselves in it when they try and make that run to catch. They do. And then you get the fourth quarter where Toronto was just horrific. They missed, 14 shots in the restricted area, including the volleyball that was played after the last shot, the tips all over the place, where, the stats say they had a 95% chance of one of those tips going in as they were volleyballing that thing around, but just ugly for them in the fourth quarter and overtime.
It was brutal, as Ian Eagle said on the broadcast. There was a top on there's a cap on the rim. Yeah. And that final sequence, it was brutal. And for a guy involved in that sequence, and Jonas Valanciunas, who had been great for them most of the night, ate Kevin Love alive in the first half until they started switching Tristan Thompson, throwing some different looks at him, but had a couple of go-to and good chances at the end of that game and just couldn't deliver it. In a game 2 where in that situation, you had 19 second chance points if you're the Raptors in this game, the most you've had all postseason, and yet you couldn't get 2 more when you needed them the most.
I mean, it was all there for Toronto. They had the lead in the entire game until the end of the game in regulation. LeBron was struggling. I mean, LeBron was gassed. He was gassed at some point.
How about after all of that, the look LeBron got at the end of regulation?
Yeah.
He got an open shot. I mean, that rattled and could have ended, which would have been unbelievable for Toronto trying to explain how LeBron is wide open on the last shot of regulation.
Cavs quickly made the switch to the second round. Make the switch brought to you by Pennzoil Synthetics, taking synthetic motor oil performance to a whole new level. Make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics today. And look, Tyronn Lue basically saying, well, we probably didn't deserve to win this game, but we'll take it.
Considering the circumstances, I mean, we definitely stole one. I don't think we played our best game. And I think they know that as well. We shooting 41% from the field. We usually do a better job. Bron's not going to shoot 12 for 30. So we didn't play extremely well, but to come in and beat a good team like Toronto on their home floor, like you said, it does feel like we stole one.
Is that next level trolling?
Yeah.
By the way, what he's doing, what he's really doing right there, Ty Lue, is basically saying, man, you guys just can't beat us.
Really?
We stunk and you still lost.
This was your shot.
I mean, right? That's exactly what he's doing.
And here's what I love. Professional athletes, they do this for $25, $50, $100. It's the coolest thing, but it happens all the time. What does Tristan Thompson make? Brett, you said $16 million.
Yeah.
And you know what he was worried about? Not losing $100. Amongst the team, if you got beat by a pump fake by DeRozan, it would cost you $100. Now, this happens all the time in different sports, little things like that, where it's not so much the money, it's we set this thing up as a team and you got beat by it. So it was $100 if you got beat by a DeRozan pump fake. And Tristan Thompson was actually talking about it after the game, making the joke, hey, I can't be giving up my money. I have a new kid. I want a college education. Obviously, that's all a joke. But amazing enough, that's what these guys think about every now and then. It's hilarious.
That happens in any sport.
Yes, it does.
I can promise you some of the most competitive rounds of golf happen in practice rounds before majors with guys who are betting on almost every swing on every hole because they don't want to lose. It's that thing all the time.
I mean, I've seen friendships almost ended over tape ball basketball in locker rooms over the bets that go on in that. So it's amazing the motivators you find at this point in the season that all comes and gets a little easier when you know and believe in your heart of hearts that you're just flat out better and more equipped than the team across from you. And that's the confidence on the other side. Cleveland looks at these guys and says, the Raptors, we know how this story
You
ends.
guys can't beat us, and it only took Trey one segment to bring up golf.
There you go. Well, I played to my strengths because I played yesterday. Played really well, by the way.
You did.
Golic and Wingo presented by Progressive Insurance, cars, homes, boats, motorcycles, RVs, and more at Progressive.com. And again, kudos to Ty Lue, the best trolling without sounding like trolling that I think we've heard in a long, long time. All right, Carmelo Anthony has said, $28 million be damned, I'm not going to the bench. But a two-time MVP will? Interesting.
Hey everyone, Mike Golic here. Support for the Golic Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS, consumeraccess.org number 3030.
Love scoring amazing hotel deals? Then you've got to get the Hotel Tonight app. Forget scrolling through never-ending lists of hotels. Hotel Tonight shows you a select list of incredible deals at hotels you actually want to stay at. And even though the name's Hotel Tonight, you can book up to 100 days in advance in top destinations and up to a week in advance everywhere else. Want to get those deals? Yeah, you do. Download the Hotel Tonight app now.
Golic and Wingo with you on ESPN Radio and ESPN News, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and let's be honest, it was time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. I love Mark Kessinger's call there on ESPN Radio. Old-time Steph, as like he's 37.
Yeah, how about it?
He's
not the truth.
Back like he never left.
He hadn't been around that long. He just turned 30. But I think what Steve Kerr said there on that little rejoin that we just played, he came off the bench and he gave us what we needed because New Orleans was up 2 after the end of the first quarter, and then Steph comes in there and boom, it's like, I'm still here, I'm fine. Literally zero rust in his game.
Yeah, and this was in a game where you kept waiting for Golden State to pull away and the Pelicans wouldn't let him. Golden State has a 3-point lead at halftime, so you figure, okay, third quarter, Pelicans actually outscore Golden State by 1 in the third quarter. It's a 2-point game going into the fourth quarter. But Steph, we talk about what he had, a 5-week layoff here. It's the 4th time under Kerr that Curry's missed at least 4 straight games. In his first game back, he's averaging right at 34 points a game.
So I'd like to say that they're picking the spot to when he comes back perfectly.
Or they really
Let's be
are.
clear about that. They know when to bring him back.
And so, by the way, last night was a disappointment because he was under that average and scoring just 28 points. But, dude is just absolute money on what he's doing right now.
In that context, though, it sounds like he's starting to fall off a little bit. Wonder if we're on the back nine for Steph.
Well, that's exactly right. He's on that 15th hole.
What we say? Old-time Steph Curry, right?
Yeah.
Way back in the day.
It is one of those things that, as much as the stat line is impressive and the difference with Steph on and off the court, plus 26 with him on, minus 21 with him off the court, it's just seeing the confidence. And that's always the biggest hurdle to overcome for someone coming back, is making sure you go out there and you still got everything working the way you want it to. But Steph's throwing no-look passes. Steph's doing the turn away after he lets three-pointers go. You've got all the usual confidence and sort of unbridled Steph Curry that you know this Warriors team needs, and you know this Warriors team is at its best when it gets.
You know, I guess we all should have expected this, but I was curious as to what Steph was going to say after the game, whether or not he was concerned about rust. And here's what he said after being back in the lineup after all that time away.
I felt great, real eager as of late, trying to get back out there and be with my teammates and do what I love to do. So to get back out there on the floor, play some playoff basketball, and get a big win tonight, it was huge. It was a good feeling. The crowd was crazy. And obviously we did what we needed to do in these first two games, going up 2-0, and we got to have our game travel to New Orleans.
And it'll be difficult in New Orleans because, look, to your point, Mike Sr., which I have to identify every time as I look over there and look at you two blokes, this was not a game that the Warriors pulled away.
Right.
I mean, the Pelicans were there the entire game. They really were. And our old buddy Mark Schlereth likes to call a certain player the actuator of the offense. Even if he doesn't provide the offense, he allows everything else to happen. It feels like that's what Steph Curry is for this team.
Yeah.
I mean, we alluded to it a little bit on Off the Top earlier. There was that great YouTube clip of sometime this season, it might have even been last season, I'm not sure, where Curry's shots were off, and Steve Kerr pulled him over and said, look at the box score. This is what happens when you're off the floor, and this is what happens when you're on the floor. And the plus 26 is a perfect example of that. When he's there, everybody else plays them differently because of how they have to defend him, whether or not he actually takes the shot.
Listen, I agree, and we're gonna talk great about Curry, which we should, but I really think the glue to that team is Draymond Green. I mean, Draymond had a triple-double in Game 1, still without Steph. Steph comes back, and Draymond has 20 points, 12 assists, 9 rebounds. He just does everything. You talk about keeping everybody involved with all the assists as well. Just love what he's doing. He and you knew him and maybe Rondo, a little bit of going after it a little bit. A couple of
chest to chest. That was the beef we expected in this game.
Without a couple of A-type personalities there. Hopefully, there's no kick to the ding-dings in this series at all. I hope we stay away from that. But there'll be there should be a lot of talk about Curry. But we get back to now talking about Golden State overall. Klay Thompson had a horrible night, but when one guy has a horrible night, you have everybody else in there to go ahead and pick up the slack. We haven't even mentioned Kevin Durant's name. And he had 29 points, shot just under 50%.
He was the closer in this game.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, I mean, they have that ability now, and especially with Curry back, all their parts in place.
You're reminded why they're unstoppable and why they're probably going to win the NBA title again this year. And all of that, I guess, is a roundabout way of saying this is what I expect from Golden State. So as much as they are going to be the story and as much as they're going to win the series, I just come away more and more impressed watching the Pelicans in this playoff run.
I agree.
It's interesting to me watching now as we get into next year and the seasons beyond, the currency of the new NBA. And it's still going to start and end with the Warriors, but even them, the addition of Kevin Durant and what he's become as a defender and as a rim protector for that team with his size and skill set, what you see Anthony Davis doing in the middle, what we see Joel Embiid doing for the Sixers, Giannis for the Bucks, all of these huge, versatile bigs. Anthony Davis running the floor is the best athlete on the court at any given time he's out there with the Golden State Warriors. With the best team in basketball, there's times when he looks like the best player out there.
Oh, there's no question about that. Look, the things that he's able to do at his size are ridiculous. And again, he had a monster game, 25 points, 15 boards. He had 5 assists and 2 steals and 3 blocks as well. I mean, he was doing a little bit of everything. But as we said, Steph came off the bench. Swaggy P got the start. And it was sort of interesting going into the game when they said he's going to play. It's like, well, why don't you just start him? Well, here was Steve Kerr on why they decided to bring Steph off the bench.
Well, we knew we wanted to play him 25 minutes or so. Not so much based on his knee, but based on his conditioning. We played really well in Game 1, so we decided to stick with Nick in the starting lineup, and then just play Steph in Quinn Cook's minutes, and then just kind of pick it up from there and see how it went. So I would say it played out as I expected. I knew I would play him more than what we planned. I think we planned on 24, and he got to 27, but he was he was Steph. He doesn't take long to warm up, that's for sure.
No,
his first shot was a 3, right?
He gets all his warm up in pregame without question, and I think maybe part of it as well. You wanted to get that standing O when he comes in. When he gets up, takes the sweats off, and is going to go in. That standing O as he's coming back, and he doesn't miss a beat at all.
Sorry, did you just say in your analysis that Steph Curry gets his warm ups in pregame?
Yes. But
he was warmed up by I didn't say that correctly.
Yeah, I got what he was.
You know what I meant, Rhonda, didn't you? Seriously?
You know what this is
news. An NBA player warms up during pregame.
This is bitter young son fact here. I mean, that's what I knew exactly what you were saying. It wasn't that unclear.
Yeah.
It was. He was just saying.
No,
he didn't take long
I totally
to warm
get
up.
it. You guys would never point out when I misspeak or stumble over.
No,
a
we
phrase.
do that. We do that all the time.
We'd rather do that.
We're not denying that at all.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this was just angry young son trying to a little chip away.
You got me.
Dad.
That was good.
I'm observant. That's all it is.
Yeah. I'm taking the golf clubs home.
There you go.
All right,
By the
enough.
way, speaking of golf, you always say I always work in a golf reference. You try to work in a ding-ding reference as much as you can.
You're a big ding-ding guy.
I am kicking in the ding-ding. Listen, there's nothing like, ding-ding jokes, right?
Right.
Well, listen, on a show where we're going to bring on a guest solely to talk about eating poop, I think this all feels appropriate.
See, you know what? You beat me to it there. Well, the tip of the cap to you, sir, because I was going to go there.
We can tip of the cap to you as well as rip you.
Yeah.
That's fine. All in the name of eating poop.
Mm-hmm.
Hashtag team poop.
Next, you're holding up the line, ma'am.
What did you say?
You're next in line for the water slide, ma'am. Feet forward and enjoy the ride.
Okay, dearie, this does look fun. You melted me. I've melted.
The Wicked Witch of the West on a water slide? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
See what you've done. Oh!
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Golic and Wingo with you, ESPN Radio and ESPN News. Glad you're with us. The draft is in the rearview mirror, but the process of evaluating the draft, what we thought, that'll go forward for the next 3 seasons. I always love it when we come up with these grades after a draft.
Yeah.
Nothing has changed from the time you were drafted till the day you start grading them. It takes about 3 years to grade a draft. Let's be honest. It takes that much, but there's always this instant reaction out there. But there's one thing that you can react to is the decision-making process for some of these picks. And I gotta say, there's a little bit of a curiosity about why and how some of the Browns evaluated some of the quarterbacks in this draft. In particular, Josh Rosen. And this is one of your former teammates.
Yeah, Alonzo Highsmith, the VP of player personnel. He was drafted. I got the Oilers in 85. He got drafted in 87, so we were teammates for a short time there. He basically, the order he had the quarterbacks in basically the entire time was Darnold number 1, Baker number 2, Josh Rosen number 3, Lamar Jackson 4, and Josh Allen number 5. And where he was out, basically, on Josh Rosen happened at an airport.
Yeah, look, he was speaking at a Hall of Fame luncheon club, and this is according to the Canton Repository. Great paper. We see it every year when we go for the Hall of Fame. Hashtag Hall of Fame, hashtag Canton Repository. But because that was his order. Okay, this is important. From the start of the college football season, again, let's repeat that for everybody so they understand. Alonzo, who used to work for the Packers, now works for the Browns, had Darnold number 1, Baker Mayfield number 2, Rosen 3, Jackson 4, Josh Allen 5. And then this is, to your point, how he got a different thought on Josh Rosen. I was at an airport, Highsmith said. UCLA's volleyball team was in front of me. You heard so much about Rosen. He's this or that. We all know how people talk. So I asked one of the volleyball coaches at UCLA, what's Rosen like, he said. And the coach said, you should probably ask his girlfriend. She's one of the players. She's over there. And then Alonzo said, I'm like, all right, coach, that's good enough. I don't know what all this means, but there was something about him that bothered me. What?
Yeah, I
what?
I don't even know where to go with that.
And I like Alonzo.
Listen.
I like Alonzo.
Teammate of mine, like him. I
have no idea
agree.
what he's talking about.
I don't either. I can't figure that one out.
That's the kind of stuff that, listen, am I to believe that Alonzo Highsmith had the final say on who they were going to take at number one overall in this process? But a lot of what's happening right now post-draft is about controlling perception, whether it's of players or whether it's of your organization and the decisions. This does not help you with a fan base that's already predisposed to thinking that every decision you make is the wrong one. Showing this line of thinking does not help your cause locally or nationally as the brand for the Cleveland Browns.
And let's be clear, none of this matters if Baker Mayfield goes out to be great and they made the right choice.
Right.
But when the line of thinking is, I've heard a lot about a certain guy, maybe I should ask somebody, hey, there's a volleyball coach at UCLA, in no way affiliated with the football program. It's just a sports team that has the same letters across the front of its jerseys. And he says, I want to talk to you about Rosen. And the coach says, well, there's his girlfriend. Go ask him. And that was enough for you to say, yeah, I've made a decision? Or go ask her, right?
Yeah.
That seems oddly bizarre.
And again, what isn't odd is that personnel will go talk to others around the campus. They'll talk to secretaries. They'll talk to equipment managers.
Which is totally normal.
We see that all the time. But I just didn't understand the answer he got from the coach, that all of a sudden made him say, I'm off on Rosen now.
Maybe he
didn't get it.
Maybe he didn't explain it the best way. Maybe that's what.
Maybe
let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe
that's still his job to explain it. If you're going to get up and tell this story, explain it right, because it sounds like at the very minimum in this situation, as ridiculous as the source sounds, you got mad because he directed you to a source that would have better information. Who is going to know Josh Rosen potentially better than his girlfriend? And yet you thought, oh wait, source with better information? I'm good. We're the Browns.
I don't know. Maybe he thought this coach didn't want to answer, and maybe you should probably ask his girlfriend was, you know what? I don't want to talk about him because maybe I didn't like him or have bad things. I don't know what he was inferring. I have no idea.
There's a lot of missing gaps here that seem to not be connected. And again, let's be clear. None of this will matter.
No,
if Baker Mayfield goes out there and shows out. But history tells us, right, that they've had some issues at quarterbacks with Cleveland, as Baker, whenever he starts, will be the 29th.
Yes, he will.
Since 1999. And if, in fact, indeed, it does turn out that he's like the other 28, this will have more of a resonating impact than maybe anything else I can think of. The idea that this is sort of the way you get to these decisions, it just seems bizarre.
That's just the point. It's process driven, and at this point, maybe you get a peek behind the curtain for some teams as to the process that gets you to certain decisions. And when you see that, you can get bailed out result wise by a great player it happens all the time. We see great players do that on the field each and every Sunday, but it doesn't change how you got there. And if your plan stinks, there's a reason you stink for so long.
Yeah, I'm starting to read a whole lot. And I get it, you have the combine for a reason, and you have pro days where you go to the players' school for a reason. But I start to hear too much of that's when it started to sway me. That's when it started to make that move when all of a sudden he's throwing in shorts and a T-shirt. I'm sorry, I just maybe that's why I'm doing this and not an evaluator in the NFL. But I just don't buy that. And I know that they go on tape. Obviously, it's not like they dismiss it. But when you hear lines, to be very honest, it all started at the combine. This is Hugh Jackson talking for me about Baker. I'm like, started at the combine.
What at the combine? He ran a 4.9.
Yeah,
he ran a 4.9.
Talking about how the ball came out of his arm or off his hand. I said, really? I didn't get it.
We'll see what happens. If he shows out, it doesn't matter. Coming up, we'll talk to the cousin of a former NFL MVP who was taken in the top 10 of the draft last week, plus Drake and Kendrick beef.
Everyone in the neighborhood knew about Bobby. Bobby, the basketball boy, they called him. Bobby wanted to go pro someday, so he was always out in the driveway shooting hoops. But one day, his mom came out and told him,
"Hey, your wife wants you to take out the trash?"
His mom was visiting, and Bobby was a grown man. He had kind of missed his window. Plus, no one had ever seen him actually make a basket. But on the other hand, Bobby had heard how Geico could save him money on car insurance, so he switched and saved. So it was all.
It is hard to find a bigger fan of you than Mom. Through all the teenage mischief and the tough first steps of adulthood, she's been there supporting you every step of the way. This Mother's Day, show her just how much you appreciate all of her dedication with 1-800-Flowers.com. Right now, when you get ahead of the Mother's Day rush, 1-800-Flowers is giving you an exclusive 24 for 24 offer. 24 multicolored roses for $24. That's only $1 per rose. With a bright and beautiful mix of premium roses in a rainbow of colors, these blooms are guaranteed to show Mom just how much she's loved. Multicolored roses are the perfect way to surprise all of the moms in your life: wife, aunt, sister, grandma. Roses from 1-800-Flowers are picked at their peak from premier farms and shipped overnight to ensure freshness. 24 multicolored roses for only $24. That's an amazing offer. But you got to hurry, because it expires Thursday. Just pick your delivery date, and 1-800-Flowers will handle the rest. Don't put this off. Order today from 1-800-Flowers.com. It's what Mom would want you to do. To order 24 stunning multicolored roses for only $24, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/Wingo. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/Wingo.
Time for an oil change? Head to Jiffy Lube. We've got you covered. We've also got you covered when it comes to oil changes, thanks to Pennzoil Synthetic Motor Oil, getting you back on the road in a jiffy. Jiffy Lube. Leave worry behind.
Close Twitter account. This series, John Jones
gets out of the corner to Smith for a three. Hey! Knocks it down.
I have zero faith in the Toronto Raptors, and I don't know why I should have.
30 seconds left in the fourth quarter. LeBron, turnaround jumper. He ties this game. LeBron James with 30 seconds remaining.
At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is trying to get a win, and my teammates are unbelievable tonight. They stepped up when I wasn't at my best.
Just having a good old time on a Wednesday morning. Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. Presented by Progressive Insurance. Our phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and that song, of course, is Days Go By Keith Urban.
It's a great song.
Very good song. And songs like that are featured on our Amazon Music playlist, the simplest way to listen to music you love. New customers start your 30-day free trial at AmazonMusic.com. Renews automatically and cancels anytime. But again, why would you want to cancel?
There you go.
All right, in a few minutes, we'll have Mike McGlinchey.
Yes, we will.
Former Notre Dame offensive lineman, ninth overall pick, San Francisco.
Notre Dame.
Yeah, did you guys go to Notre Dame?
No, we were just looking at some of the top 10 picks of who we could bring on the show and talk. It just happens he went to Notre Dame.
That never comes up.
We were just looking for schools that had more top 10 picks in the draft this year than Alabama.
Oh, really? You're going to go down that road?
You're going to poke at the Alabama state.
Hey, I don't have to deal with them anymore.
Everybody knows what your Twitter account is. 321-2012.
That's fine. By the way, you can't hurt me any more than Nick Saban did in real life. That's the thing. You think you're saying something that offends me on Twitter. I assure you, I don't care. I was there that day. My soul is scorched.
Yeah. By the way, Bama has only had one top 10 pick in the last 5 drafts, but they just have every other player drafted.
Many picks.
Every other player
They just
drafted.
had all 11 starters off the 2016 National Championship defense, drafted 9 in the first 3 rounds.
Do you want to take a guess as to who that one player in the top 10 of the last 5 years was for Alabama? It might surprise you.
It probably
in the
will.
last how many years?
The last 5 years.
5 years.
5 years.
Only one.
Who is it? So we don't have any more dead air.
Would you like to take a guess, Junior?
It's not Amari Cooper.
It is Amari Cooper.
Wow.
Go to the head of the class.
Well done.
Well done. All right, before we get into what's trending, I have to share this with you, Junior, and you as well, I guess, but you more recently.
Well, this was all going on while I was playing. You actually had to do this
Exactly,
stuff.
But these college sports designs, a new NCAA uniform rules. The entire knee must be covered.
Oh.
But for linemen, stomach may not be exposed.
Man,
stomach may not be exposed.
Not just for linemen. You said for linemen.
For everybody. But, I mean, it's only the linemen, really, that we care about.
We
want to see the bellies. We want to see the bellies.
This is the Zeke Elliott rule in my mind, right?
Yep.
Like, this is the most recent example of this. But when I think bellies, I think Chance Warmack, the old guard from speaking of Alabama, from Alabama, was with the Titans for a while.
Remember Brandon Mebane with the Seahawks?
Brandon Mebane.
Shake it.
Jonathan Cooper was another guy, guard out of North Carolina, was a top 10 overall pick for the Cardinals. A lot of bellies hanging out. And listen, it's one of those things, if you've got a good, there are a lot of different bellies.
Yeah.
You can have good belly, you can have a rolly belly, but if you got a big keg-like belly, like a Billy Bob belly,
a Billy Bob belly,
you let one of those fly.
Like a powerlifting belly.
Yeah.
I like those. It's like a belly, but it's it's not flopping around.
No, exactly. There's good girth to it. Like why am I forgetting his name? Vince Wilfork.
Vince Wilfork.
Great belly.
Great belly, great wear of overalls.
But no more bellies. Can't show the belly and got to cover the knees.
Belly done.
So
belly
we'll
down.
see. Those are the big rules. And, the whole kickoff thing, too.
Hashtag sad. All right, we continue. Let's start. Speaking of continuing, 7 straight playoff games and counting. The Cavs beat the Raptors 113-112. They take a 1-0 series lead. And they never led in regulation. They're the second team, Mike, in the last 20 postseasons to win a game despite never having more than the other team at any point during regulation.
Couple of chances for the Raptors, and this was the game to do it in the second quarter. Double-digit lead. Can you expect? Can you make that a greater lead by halftime? No, it shrunk to 3. Third quarter, you're up 13. Can you make it a bigger lead going into the fourth quarter? No, it shrinks to 5. So the Cavs finding a way to stay in the game with other players. J.R. Smith had a big game, first one to score 20 points as a teammate of LeBron's, while LeBron wasn't playing well in the fourth quarter and in overtime. But the Raptors, I can't tell you the mental side of this enough of just where they are right now. It's a bad spot.
And I think that erases the legit basketball questions you can ask about this, because with LeBron James, didn't play well in game 1 by his standards, even with a triple-double, but teammates played well in a way that we can't expect them to replicate consistently because they haven't. So you're going to get a better LeBron, but you'll probably get worse role players. How does that net for you in a basketball sense? But ultimately, when you're dealing with a team that I think is so defeated by one opponent, it really doesn't matter.
Well, it's... What did we say before this game? If not last night, then when are they ever going to?
By the way, we all think it's over.
It's done.
Over.
I mean, you can't convince me otherwise at this point. You really can't. If you can't beat them when you had everything going your way, rest, home court, LeBron saying he was burnt. And oh, by the way, finally somebody stepped up for the Cavs. J.R. Smith got 20.
Right.
The first person not named LeBron James in a Cleveland Cav uniform to get that many points. So we'll see what happens. Meanwhile, you did say it. Steph Curry scored 28 points off the bench. I was just ramming the point home.
Okay, I got you.
He wanted you to be able to tweet it.
The point home.
Okay.
He wanted you to be able to tweet it.
Point home. Steph Curry, 28 points off the bench in his 28 postseason debut. Almost missed 6 weeks, and looks like he didn't miss a second.
You know, there's a couple of things here. Is how good Golden State is now that the whole gang is back together. Draymond Green 1 rebound shy of two triple doubles in first 2 games. But also, I look at the future as well, from a New Orleans team, a Utah team in the West, a Boston team who's still obviously in it in the East, a Milwaukee team in the East, obviously the 76ers, of what's coming in the future. Now we have the whole free agency movement that's going to go on in the summer. I think we're going to get the teams we probably expect. Maybe we'll get a new one in the finals in the East this year, but I still think it'll be Golden State. But I'm really even more excited about some of the potential of the other teams as well.
Yeah, and you keep looking for the timetable of what's going to usurp Golden State eventually once that window closes, whether it's, the repeater and the luxury tax that start to take a toll on them or what have you. And there are a lot of very compelling candidates.
Plus 26.
Yeah.
That's the most impressive thing about what he was able to do. Plus 26. When he was on the floor, as Steve Kerr has documented many, many times, he makes everybody else around him that much better. And again, we'll see if the Pelicans can get a game at home. They hung in there. I mean, it was only a 5-point game.
Right. They did. They absolutely did. You thought Golden State would pull away. The Pelicans did not let them.
Nope, no chance. Well, Justin Verlander, what more can you possibly do? Career high-tying 14 strikeouts, 8 innings. Not enough because in the 9th inning, someone not named Justin Verlander pitched, and that was just enough for the Yankees to come away with a 4-0 win.
So Gary Sanchez, who has, 3 big home runs in the span of 6 days, is at the plate. Ken Giles is in relief here, and there's a man on second and third with 1 out. Need my baseball people to check me out here. You intentionally walk Sanchez, load the bases, go for that double play ground ball if you can. They don't. Second and 30, it's a 3-run shot, and that's the ball game. And Giles, on his way to the dugout, slaps himself with his mitten and punches himself in the face. I mean, literally made a fist and punched himself in the face. Haven't seen that done a whole lot.
Gave himself it was probably just about close to the second hardest shot to the jaw we saw last night, right after DeMar DeRozan taking a pretty vicious elbow right to the jaw. But, I'm with you on that. The more and more I think about it in that situation, it seems like that would have been the heady play in this spot. But again, not what you expect after that kind of outing from Verlander to see it all go up in flames.
He had to be on the dugout go, seriously, gang? Seriously?
This is why some people, and I think rightly so, say wins and losses for a pitcher are not a true measure of what they do.
I mean, Clayton Kershaw's 1-4 right now. Yeah. How are we really going to look at him and say, all right, that's all on you?
I mean, Justin Verlander's ERA is ridiculous, and he didn't get the win last night because they could muster nothing. You get nothing. All right, that is what's trending, and also what's trending is the fact that Golic and Wingo is presented by Progressive's Home Insurance. Getting a quote is easier than ever. Speaking of easier than ever, it was an easy time for the draft for a couple of Notre Dame linemen.
It's Golic and Wingo.
With the 9th pick, the San Francisco 49ers select Mike McGlinchey, offensive tackle, Notre Dame.
You look at McGlinchey, huge kid, 6'8", 310-pounder. His technique is outstanding. He will be a plug-and-play starter at right tackle as a rookie.
And that is our very subtle way of welcoming in our next guest. Hey, did you guys know he played for Notre Dame? I wasn't sure if you guys knew he played for Notre Dame.
I heard that.
Yeah. Mike McGlinchey, formerly of Notre Dame, now of the San Francisco 49ers, joins us now on Golic and Wingo. Mike, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys. I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Well, I didn't have a choice, just so you know. These Golden Domers keep bashing me over the head with their Golden Domes.
Cliff, seriously?
As they should.
Seriously, Cliff? Thank you. Thank you, Cliff. Way late with the song.
Make our guest feel at home.
Come on now. Wow, Mike, congratulations. What a moment. You know, we saw the video. You weren't at the draft. You were with a bunch of family and you got a lot of friends, by the way. So take us back again to
that was true. That was good.
To that moment of getting that phone call, and we all saw your emotion in the video, but just take us back there and just that feeling when you got the call.
Well, I was related to most of those people, so not all. That was mostly family, but it was just an incredible night. And when I got the call, I wasn't expecting San Francisco. I hadn't really talked much to them after the combine at all. They kept it pretty close to their vest that they were going to take me. And as soon as the Bears picked at 8, my phone rang, and I knew where I was going after that, and spoke to Mr. Lynch and Coach Shanahan, and you know, started crying and hugging everybody and celebrating, and it was just an incredible moment for me and my family.
Mike McGlinchey with us, 49ers OT on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Get the feeling of being rewarded with gold status at Shell with the Fuel Rewards program. Download the Fuel Rewards app, join, and start saving 5 cents a gallon today. I always find that interesting, Mike, because we were talking about this with Colton Miller. The Raiders never had him in for a workout, and they chose him in the first round. So you really didn't have a lot of contact with San Francisco, and they still took you. Who were the teams that actually had the most interest and showed the most interest in you?
Well, I had visited and interviewed and worked out for Tampa Bay and the Bengals and a couple other teams, but I knew that going into the week that Oakland was probably going to be the most likely situation. But after the Niners picked me, I guess they went and felt that Colton Miller was a great player as well. So I was really, really shocked when San Francisco was the team that called, and I only had one formal interview with them at the Combine, and it was 15 minutes long, and that's literally all I had heard from them. So a pretty wild experience and pretty wild how the draft shakes out, but very fortunate and very lucky to be a 49er.
So now you are a 49er. You understand this organization as it's starting to build its identity, has already cemented its starting quarterback with Jimmy Garoppolo. Have you had a chance to talk to Jimmy yet, the guy that you're going to be protecting?
Yeah, so I met Jimmy right after one of his workouts this past weekend when I got flown out there for all the interviews and media and stuff like that this past weekend. Very excited to get to work with Jimmy. I mean, he's as good as it gets, I think, in the league, and I think that we really have a chance to do something special this year, and I think that he proved that as the last couple games flew by. And, Jimmy's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the NFL, and obviously super excited to be in front of him and keeping him upright and healthy and allowing him to do what he can do and light up the scoreboard.
Talking to Mike McGlinchey, the new offensive tackle for the San Francisco 49ers, formerly of Notre Dame, where, again, Quentin Nelson went number 6 to the Colts. We had him on yesterday, but there's 3 of us right now. 2 of us in this room, 1 on the phone. I'm sorry, 2 of you. I didn't get yelled at by Harry Heastan, but you got yelled at by Harry Heastan. My son Mike did. McGlinchey, I'm sure you did, and I'm sure Quentin did for a while. So there's the 3 I was thinking of. So let's go into the making of a lineman a little bit. Harry Heastan, your coach at Notre Dame, now with the Chicago Bears. Tell everybody how he helped you become a first-round draft pick.
Well, I think Harry is just, kind of the mastermind of how to get the best out of his players. I think that he is as good as it gets in both the college football ranks and the NFL ranks as an offensive line coach, and the Bears are very lucky to have him. But he's just so passionate, so intense, and so good at teaching the small details that nobody really hones in anymore. And I think that he's just so old school in that regard, and that he doesn't let anything slip underneath the cracks or go unnoticed. And it's the passion and the intensity and the demand that he has for greatness, along with the ability to teach the greatest details of the game and of the position, that just kind of crank out offensive linemen left and right like we have in the last 5 or 6 years.
Mike McGlinchey with us, 49ers offensive tackle, 9th overall selection. I don't know if you guys know he did play at Notre Dame.
Yes, he did.
Mike, let's talk a little bit about your background, because one of the things I love doing in preparing for the draft is reading the stories of everybody, because I think people look at draftees as like products instead of people, and they're like something you can go to the Apple store to make your computer run faster instead of being an actual human being. One of the things I loved about your story is people may not know you're cousins with Matt Ryan, and by the way, in the background article I read, he said, I almost went to Boston College because of Matt Ryan. Thank God I didn't do that. Threw that one in there. But you also told the story one time of you when you families were all vacationing somewhere and you were on the beach, and Matt went to throw you the football, and he kept throwing it way over your head, and you asked him why he was doing that, and you said... He said because that's where Julio goes up to get it. And I said, well, you know what? I'll take the loss on that one then, because I'm not getting up there. Matt, come down to my level, man. Understand who you're working with.
Because I knew that he could put it wherever he wanted it, and I knew that he was doing that on purpose. And I said, well, what the hell are you doing? I can't get up there. And he said, well, I'm not gonna miss my throws because of what you're capable of doing. So.
Family is the best, isn't it?
Awesome.
It really is.
Yeah.
Talking to Mike McGlinchey on the show, Pennzoil Performance Line. And Mike, between Matt, who you're obviously related to, and you mentioned some of the other guys, Ronnie Stanley, Zach Martin, his brother Nick, all that have come out, have you talked to any of these guys specifically, gotten advice about what to expect now that not only you're joining the NFL, but you're your team's first-round pick and the expectations that come with that?
Yeah, I actually spent some time with Zach and Nick 2 weekends ago in Austin, Texas, for Nick's bachelor party, actually. So that was a good time, and it was right before the draft, so I got to get a full lowdown on everything that they, experienced themselves and what to expect from me. And obviously, they were both they both called after the draft, and I've been talking to Nick every other day pretty much since the draft had happened. It's a cool thing. It's a cool thing to have your best friends be in the NFL and be able to learn from them and see how successful that they've been over the last few years, especially with Zach and Ronnie and Nick when he can stay healthy. It's just been incredible to watch those guys. And obviously, it's the same thing as it was at Notre Dame. I had the best examples to learn from, and I still do. And I constantly am pulling at those guys for information, for, advice or anything that they can give me to, make my job and my transition a little bit easier.
By the way, knowing the contract that Zach will be signing very soon, did he pay for the entire weekend?
Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah, he did.
Thank God.
There you go. So let's go on the field a little bit. You played right tackle at Notre Dame and left tackle. What, Coach Shanahan? What was the for you? What will it be out in San Francisco?
Well, they got Joe Staley holding down the left side over there, and he's a pretty damn good player himself. So I'm going to be starting over at the right side.
You got him.
I wouldn't say that. No, not sure about that, but. No, I'll be starting on the right side and really excited about that. And it's where I started at Notre Dame, so keep the same career trajectory as I did when I first started college.
Mike McGlinchey with us, first-round pick of the San Francisco 49ers. Mike, for those that don't play and for those that just are casual observers of the game and hear all these things about football, tell us why you love this game so much. Because I think people don't understand sometimes the passion that guys that do this have for this game and what it means to them.
Well, I think it's a mixture of two things. I think, first and foremost, from a football standpoint, it just challenges you constantly. And it's something that you'll never be satisfied with. There's always something to improve on. It's something that, when you get to be at the level that we're at now, it's such a fun competition week in and week out, and it's such a battle. and I get to play against the best players in the world at what I do, and to get to that level and to chase that constantly is a great feat, and it's something that I need to have in my life, and it's just why I get up in the morning. And the other thing of why football is the greatest game in the world is because of the guys that it brings along in your life. Football has given me the relationships that have shaped my entire life, and especially my college career so far. I've gotten, the best friends and best teachers and mentors out of playing the game of football that will last for the rest of my life, and I couldn't be more thankful for that. And but it's the combination of the challenge that football brings, how fun it is because of that, and then the people that you get to meet along the way.
All right, listen, that was, let me just say, well done.
Yeah.
For those of us that follow the game and have worked in the game, that's a big part of it for me as well. That camaraderie, I'm sure it exists in every sport, but the feeling is like it's just different in football because you have to have 11 guys working together in that huddle, or otherwise it's never going to work.
Yeah, without a doubt. You have to rely on the guy next to you so much. So
don't screw it up, Mike.
And you relied on a guy next to you, and he relied on you, and you went 6th and 9th in the draft. So congrats to both you guys, and best of luck out there. I'm sure we'll talk to you down the line.
Thank you guys very much. Appreciate you having me on.
Anytime, Mike.
Congrats, Mike. Proud of you, buddy.
Yeah, well done.
Who do you think out of the three of you, Quentin, Mike McGlinchey, or you, got yelled at the most by Harry Heastan?
Probably me, because I was the least player of that group of three. I walked into the weight room in all seriousness 1 or 2 years after I left, when Q and Mike were really starting to come into their own on that line. And I walked in while they were in the middle of the workout, and I went and said what's up to those guys. And I was still, trying to play at that point. Right. I think it was one of the off seasons. I was still working out. And I looked at those two and I said, thank God I graduated when I did, because forget being the same position group as these guys. I'm not the same species as these guys. These are absolute men among boys, the way they're built and the way they carry themselves. It's really impressive, and to watch them both having grown from young players and having been a part of recruiting Mike when he was coming to Notre Dame. It's really cool to see what these guys have done and what they've turned themselves into through nothing but their own hard work and the guidance of Harry there at Notre Dame. They're impressive kids.
It's very
Junior,
cool.
Don't sell yourself short. As they say in Caddyshack, you're a tremendous slouch. So don't worry about that. All right? Well done. Well done.
Hey everyone, Mike Golic here. Support for the Golic Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS consumeraccess.org number 3030.
Love scoring amazing hotel deals? Then you've got to get the Hotel Tonight app. Forget scrolling through never-ending lists of hotels. Hotel Tonight shows you a select list of incredible deals at hotels you actually want to stay at. And even though the name's Hotel Tonight, you can book up to 100 days in advance in top destinations and up to a week in advance everywhere else. Want to get those deals? Yeah, you do. Download the Hotel Tonight app now.
Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN News, presented by Progressive Insurance. And hey, look who's here. Look, groomed guy. ESPN NFL analyst Jeff Saturday joins us in studio. Well, you must be working the Dollar Shave thing because it's really looking good.
Just owning it right now. Just owning it right Wingo.
Now. Brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. Okay, Straight Talk. What did Andrew Luck think when, with the 6th overall selection in the NFL draft, the Indianapolis Colts finally got someone who can protect him, Quentin Nelson, the guard? Out of Notre Dame.
And kissed Chris Ballard right in the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, sir.
It's a lip kiss.
Thank you.
Just so people know, that's the general manager of the Colts, Chris Ballard.
Just laid one right on him. Thank you, sir. No, you're looking at him and 2 guards taken early. He understood they drafted Kelly a couple of years ago, so trying to build the interior part of that offensive line. Basically, with Costanzo at left tackle, the other guys, the right tackle is still going to be kind of up in the air, but he has to be very grateful, especially coming off the injury that may still be lingering some and where that is. But I can tell you from a quarterback perspective, that's got to make you feel good. Listen, all the receivers you can have, tight ends, if you can't protect me, it makes no difference. Look at him back there, happy feet, throwing the ball in bad space. It's just no fun.
You said that lingering injury. I mean, with Andrew Luck, he still hasn't thrown a football 15 months since that surgery. What are you hearing about their – I mean, they didn't draft a quarterback, so they must feel pretty good about it. But still, considering what we've seen or what we haven't seen from Andrew Luck, I think until people see him cutting it loose, they're going to be concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. You should be concerned. And this is my point. It's not about can he throw the ball? It's the efficiency and the strength you can throw the ball after 15 months. Of course, at some point, he's going to come right back out.
Sanchez.
He'll be able to put it around. He's going to build up. He's going to get stronger. He's going to do those things. But we all understand the attrition, which is the NFL season, and how many weeks in a row you got to do this thing, how many balls you're going to throw. If you go into a game with bad weather, bad wind, all of a sudden you got to chuck it around, 30 or 40 times, just how that will, just the attrition on the shoulder itself. So it is concerning that you haven't built that strength up and gotten those kind of normal tosses in. They obviously have to trust what he's going to do and who he's going to be and where he's going to be. But from a player perspective, I'm uncomfortable just because I want to see him let that thing rip.
And one of the reasons you take great care in who you have in front of them, because quarterbacks hate that pressure straight at the gut for getting around the ends. It's straight at the gut and trying to solidify getting Ryan Kelly back from injury at center and drafting Quentin Nelson with the number 6 pick. So we're a few days removed from the draft. From the early picks, guys that are supposed to have immediate impact, where do you think some of the best fits were with player to team?
Yeah, listen, I think Barkley is a really good fit. I think when OBJ obviously comes back from his injury, you bring in Solder, then you get Hernandez, who's kind of a mauling style guard. Now you got Barkley. They've improved offensively, and I think you've seen Eli struggle the last couple years in his game and the way that he has played. That will benefit them as a team, right? Being able to control the ball with someone other than OBJ, and that will spread the offense. That was Shepard on the other side. You got Ingram at tight end. I think as you look at Barkley, do I think he is as good as everybody has made him out to be? I'm not all in on that quite yet, but he's a good enough player, and he's a good enough. When people start comparing you to Adrian Peterson, all these guys, like that's a hard jump for me, to jump in these kind of things with the draft. But I will say I think he's going to be effective and very efficient in their offense, and he will help Eli and the Giants.
I do as well think he's going to help, but you're right. I read more than a few tweets. This guy can score at will. Can he really?
Right.
And listen, nobody could behind that Giants offensive line last year.
And by the way, listen, let's be honest about how he runs. He loves to get to the outside edge.
He's got to press the hole a little bit more.
The Giants aren't fantastic as edge blockers. If you're going to diagram them as a team, that's not really where you're going to lay the hat on everybody. So as you're looking at what he does well, let's slow it down on crowning everybody the greatest for the moment, let's let him build into who he is going to be in the NFL.
Come on, everybody knows that every team got the perfect draft. That's what every fan will tell you. We got it right. We nailed it right 100% of the time. Jeff Saturday with us here, our NFL insider. Now, one of the more curious things about this year's draft was what happened at the top. We had 4 quarterbacks go in the top 10, 5 in the first round. That's only happened 2 other times in draft history. But not only how many, but who went where, including Baker Mayfield going first overall to the Cleveland Browns, which was something that was building a few days before the draft, but I'm not sure any of us really believed it. And then Baker Mayfield's agent, Jack Mills, went on the Business of Sports podcast with Andrew Brandt and said this about another team that was maybe vying to get up to get Baker Mayfield.
We had another team, which is going to surprise you. Another team had said, you may get a big surprise on draft day at number 2 if he's available. And it was the Patriots.
Wow. To get up to number 2.
And we thought, they had traded, they had 23 and they had 31 and they had 2 seconds. I don't know. We thought, boy, that's going to be a heck of a move to get up that high from where they are.
Right.
And of course, he wasn't available, so nothing. We never knew if that was a reality or not.
Well, I think that last line, is the one that has us shaking our heads. I'm sure they may have said that. Do any of you believe that the Patriots would have moved up to 2 to take Baker Mayfield?
I do not believe that was anywhere near reality.
Not a chance. Here's what the Patriots wanted. The Patriots wanted to interview Mayfield, so when they play him next year and the years after, they know exactly what his thought process is. They want to do any type of interviews so they can figure out, okay, when he's in this system, what's he going to do? How does he align with this? What does he look like? What does he like? What does he dislike? This is all interrogation from Belichick. This has nothing to do with no one's moving up to 2 from where. I mean, you're going to trade all that for one guy?
All that, 2 first-rounders, a couple second-rounders.
We've seen it before. I mean, the 2016, both the Rams and the Eagles moved way up to get 1 and 2.
And we saw with RG3,
we've
Washington
seen it happen,
going up.
But I just didn't believe that team was going to make that move for that guy.
Exactly
right.
Did not see that coming.
So where are you on Baker Mayfield? What do you think his ceiling is?
Listen, that was probably the most confusing. Taking him 1, I was shocked. I'm going to be real. I was shocked that they took him 1. I thought Darnold was going to be the first guy taken if they were going to go QB. I didn't think any of the quarterbacks were. I think all of them get pushed because they're quarterbacks, and it's kind of where we are in the NFL. But I thought Darnold would go before. But there, obviously. And I respect Dorsey. I think he's a very good football guy. I think I like what he does to try to build teams. So he must have seen something in the interview or something in Mayfield's persona that he really felt like, hey, this is going to be a leader for them. And I hear the stories of the he thing or whatever all that is. Listen, that ain't getting a guy drafted 1. Right. There's something going on in the meetings when they're all sitting down and they're talking X's and O's and why do you like this? And if you put this guy here, what does that do for you? Talking true strategy of the game, much more than just the inherent. He makes some kind of whistle or sound and everybody copies him. So but I was surprised. I did not think he would be 1. I thought maybe the Jets would jump at him and possibly at 3. But from the Browns' perspective, They thought he was the guy. Well, yeah, you hope for him, right?
You hope they get it right.
And again, we'll say this. They did what exactly picked the guy they should have if that's who there was.
Absolutely.
So,
I fully agree.
We all disagree that was the top guy, but it doesn't matter. They weren't asking us. So as far as we'll see, it takes time, especially for the quarterbacks, to see how they pan out. Things that may go on in the field right now. A ton of people meeting at the NFL about the kickoff today. Yesterday it was about interior line play. Today it's about special teams and the kickoff. Do you think the kickoff is going to be out of the game in a few years, or if it changes, how do you think they can change it to keep it?
Yeah, I think you change it. I mean, for me, taking the kickoff all the way out, and I get. And listen, I was part of the health and safety committee. I'm all about making the game so much safer, and whatever we can do to that, I'm all for it. But I think there's unintended consequences whenever you change or you begin to take something completely out of the game. I mean, how many guys do you know that have made teams from that position alone? You learn so many valuable traits.
Matthew Slater.
I mean, listen, there are tons of guys. Ryan Clark, who ends up playing 13 years or something
Never
like
heard
that.
Of him.
Yeah, exactly. But there are guys all over the game who start on special teams because ultimately they don't have the measurables that the draft are going to seek and find. Yeah. So these guys are true football players. They get on the field. So now you're taking out a large portion of what these guys can do to get on the field. And this is this is the point that I would make. This is not Pee Wee football. If you want to take out a Pee Wee football, great. NC2A, high school, whatever it is. If that's the concern for safety, then do. But at some point, you have to let men make a decision about the risk, the inherent risk of is it still worth it. There are a lot of people who do risky jobs, but they're choosing it as long as you know what's at risk. I think at some point you have to let them play and not change everything in that regard.
And again, Troy Vincent has said kickoffs are not going away in 2018. They'll see if they can get it massaged one way or another. Okay, you're a North Carolina guy.
Yes, sir.
We've got another North Carolina guy coming up. But first, we're going to do a segment that I think you want to stick around for.
All right.
It's a brain scramble. So we're all in big trouble.
I'm a one-trick pony, literally. I show up at kids' parties and act cute. That's pretty much it. So excuse me for being bitter. When Geico says not only could we save you money on car insurance, but we do more. Like give you 24/7 access online, over the phone, or even via our award-winning mobile app. Well, ooh la la. Aren't they multi-talented? Hey, I said organic carrots.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
It's the game show segment that's captivating a nation.
The origin is Latin. It has been sort of corrupted over time.
Like this show.
Making everyone that hears it smarter.
In the 1800s, English authors were likely to partake in opium den activities.
Now, with your host, researcher Brett.
Take a guess where that came from. Brett's got your answer.
It's Bretmology.
Here are the categories. Words and their meanings. That's straightforward.
Sports Center brought to you by 100flowers.com. Hard to find a bigger fan of you than Mom. This Mother's Day, show her just how much you appreciate all of her dedication. 24 multicolored roses, $24 from 100flowers.com. To order, go to 100flowers.com, click that radio icon, enter the code WINGO.
All right, Bretmology, it's that time. Yeah, baby. Brought to you by Discover Card, who will match all the cashback new card members earn at the end of their first years. Learn more at discover.com/match. Limitations apply. Jeff Saturday, are you excited? This is your first Bretmology experience.
I'm excited and very nervous.
Okay, just
at
so
the
you know,
same time.
Here we go. Here are the stats. I'm 8 for 16.
Mm-hmm.
Golic is 7 for 16. And Junior, in a sample size that is way too small, is just 2 for 4. Jeff Saturday is still batting 1,000 or 0%, considering how you want to look at it, because he's never played. All right, Brett, let's go.
Let's do it.
All right, 4 phrases. We got to go fast. Phrase number 1, field day.
Field day.
Field day.
Is that Field Yates?
He said we have to go fast.
Is it? From 17th century Scotland, a field day was a day where people of the town would get together for a festival or other outdoor gathering. It later became an official Scottish holiday, celebrated on the third Friday of July since 1804. Conversely,
or
an 18th century British military term for a day in which soldiers would practice field maneuvers, which was more fun than exercise and drills.
I'm going with 2. Go with number 2.
I will also go with 2, even though I feel like 1 is a really good one. I'm going with 2.
I'm going 1. I'm going 1.
Number 2.
Hey!
Number 2! Oh! Saturday,
yeah,
you stink.
Like it.
God,
like it. Smart guy now.
Next phrase.
There we go.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
No, it wasn't.
Is it? Queen Elizabeth I referred to the expression in an address of British Parliament in Cambridge in 1563 after a Dutch insurgency which eventually became the 80 Years' War. She used the Latin, Roma uno dia non está condita. Alternatively, or from a collection of medieval French poetry, Le Proverbe à Villain, a line of a poem read in the original French, Rome ne fut pas faite tout en un jour.
By the way, your French is outstanding.
Terrific.
You're up there with Equinemius St. Brown. Did you say or, by the way?
No.
What do you think?
I'm going number 1.
I'm 1 as well.
I'm going number 1.
Number 2.
I got peanut gallery. Got it right.
All right. Our next phrase. Every dog has its day.
Ah.
All right.
Yes.
Is it from our good friend Bill Shakespeare? Debuted the phrase in Hamlet in 1603, saying, "Let Hercules himself do what he may, the cat will mew and dog will have his day."
Ooh.
On the other hand,
that rolled off the tongue.
Yeah. Okay.
Queen Elizabeth I, again, prior to her coronation in the mid-1500s, wrote in a letter to her brother, "Notwithstanding, as a dog hath a day, so I may perchance have time to declare it in deeds."
Here's the deal. You're trying to get Q1 in there awfully, that's a second reference.
By the way, let's be honest about this. One of these was made up by Brett, and these are phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
I'm going with Billy Spear. I'm going number 1.
I'm going number 1 as well.
I'm going with the Queen. Never go against the Queen.
The Queen is correct.
Yeah!
Oh, my gosh. I am over.
Yeah!
You got anything right?
Nothing. Let's go.
One
Who's
was
the
so
smart guy
solid.
now? Let's go. Put another one on my win. That's 10. Let's go.
And our final phrase. Give a man a fish, you'll feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, you'll feed him for a lifetime. Is it an ancient Chinese axiom often attributed to Confucius, but it has no official origin other than it was coined during the spring and autumn period between 771 and 446 BC? Rather,
or
from a mid-19th century British story by Anne Isabella Ritchie entitled Mrs. Diamond, which originally read, "The patron meant that if you give a man a fish, he is hungry again in an hour. If you teach him to fish, you do him a good turn."
I'm going with Annie on this one. I'm going number 2. I'm going with Annie.
Oh.
Jeff, you got to get off the schneid.
I'm over. I'm going 2. I'm going 2.
Oh, no. Now I feel horrible.
I'm going to go not the Chinese one, the other one.
You're going 2.
Number 2 is correct.
Yes! I finally broke free! Freedom! Woo! Well done, Bretmology. Well done.
Did you just yell freedom?
Freedom. Yeah. Did you go William Wallace on us? William Wallace.
Golly.
By the way, we just had the phrase, every dog has its day. Well, guess what? Our next guest is having his day. He's our dog. He's our guy, Austin Prohl. He'll join us next. Stay with us.
Next. You're holding up the line, ma'am.
What did you say?
You're next in line for the water slide, ma'am. Feet forward and enjoy the ride.
Okay, dearie. This does look fun. Whee-oh! You melted me. I've melted.
The Wicked Witch of the West on a water slide? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
See what you've done. Oh!
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15%.